about it. The Avs are going to have to win 2 games in a row if they want to win this series, Games 6 and 7. How can they accomplish that? We're going to talk about it. Welcome in the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. We got Big E and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs have a couple of off days in between Game 5 and 6 here. We've all had a sleep since Game 5. Doesn't make the result any less disappointing, but eventually you have to stop being mad about it and look forward towards the next game. Figure out what you need to do. Figure out how the Avs can take that next step in the series and avoid elimination. The Avs are not really a stranger to this situation. This core has played 8 Game 6s since, their return to the playoffs with the McKinnon-Landeskog era and all that stuff. I guess 9 if you want to count 13-14, but I don't really count that as this era. That was a little bit too early. They're 5-3 in the 8 Game 6s since 2018. Do you lean on some of that history, or is this an individual thing? Is this a series that's unique to itself, or are there things you can pull from previous years?
Well, they're all unique to themselves, absolutely. But can you rely on your veteran core, right? That the ones you're talking about, the leadership group that have been there, that have been through the battles. Maybe that's them leading by example, right? I think it starts there tomorrow. You lead by example. Let the others follow. If you're on top of your game, usually the Avalanche are in great shape. When I'm talking about the top end guys, you can have all the stats you want. Like we said, at the end of the day, you got to win, and you got to make plays. Sometimes it takes a superstar play, like we saw Nate yesterday make a superstar play. It wasn't going to be tonight.
Too little, too late, though.
Yeah, I mean, now we need, again, you're talking about Game 2, Game 3, missed opportunities on some big plays like that. I'm not just blaming these guys. I'm talking about the top end guys. I mean, if you make a play here and there, maybe the series takes a different direction. We didn't get those plays. I'm talking about Kale. Kale's not oblivious to this criticism. I think he'd be the first one to tell you that he hasn't been up to the task, and close is not good enough. When you're an elite player, we can talk about Parker Kelly like this, sure, absolutely. And it's not a knockdown on Parker.
No, it's just a reality.
He's playing awesome. He's all over the map, and why he didn't get it. Kale, you got to make plays, and you're the best defenseman / one of the best players in the National Hockey League, and you have to have production, and that's just what comes with the territory. Norris Trophy finalist today for a reason, right? Because he is at the top, right, of his profession.
Yep.
So you want more from him. So you want the leadership group, not tomorrow because it's a day off, right, in a sense that they're playing Thursday, but it starts with them. You lead by example. And usually you've been through it. You can relay on the bench in the locker room, if somebody's got some nerves, or in that morning or tomorrow at practice, or, like, hey, this is the message. And again, it takes shape from the leadership starts from the top, and it's going to start with, the front office, and then the coaches, and then the players, and then the other players that have not been there for those 8-9 years, have to follow suit. And I think the message will be delivered. Now it comes down to the work's been done. The work's been done. You just got to go and play and make sure that you do execute and you do show up. And if you do that, you have a big chance to win. You're a good team.
Avs do get 2 days off here before Game 6.
Yeah.
Good thing or bad thing? We saw Game 3. They had 2 days off before, and they ended up losing that game in close fashion, but losing it nonetheless. Is that extra day, is it something for them to sit and stew in and maybe have them get a little bit more focused than they might? Is it something that takes away a little bit of the momentum, even though, honestly, Dallas should have momentum after that Game 5? I don't know. How do you feel about another 2-day break?
And again, this has nothing to do with the Avalanche. I've always been of that nature that I want to play. When I'm doing well, I want to play.
Sure.
I don't like all-star breaks, Olympic breaks, what I mean? When you're on a roll, come on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it benefits the Avs on my theory because, and again, I would tell you the opposite if the Avs would have won. I'd be like, I wish the game was tomorrow, not in 2 days.
Keep rolling, yep.
Keep rolling with it. I just feel that it benefits the Avs because you have a easier way to just reset. And sometimes you're going to be like, no, it's easier if you just play the next night and, goldfish memory, go play. No, I know. But this one is like, it's playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a series, and it gives you a chance to get home, relax tomorrow, address all that stuff, put it behind you, and then be ready for Thursday. Where I'm not saying it's a bad thing for the Dallas Stars. I'm saying I think it benefits the team that lost the game before. That's just my thought. That's always been my thought. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just a feeling that I have.
I mean, I'm open to whatever at this point. We're gonna get into all the little fine details, but at the end of the day, the Avs have to do whatever they can to win the next 2 games in a row. Because otherwise, you're going home. It's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are details that matter, that are gonna matter. They have to do the right things to win those 2 games. But sometimes you can look at it as a pretty simple conversation when it comes to Colorado. It's a situation they put themselves in, and look. Part of the beauty of sports is this is a best of 7, right? So you messed up on a couple games you felt like you maybe should have won. Yep. You're not sitting at home yet. You still have the opportunity to correct some of those errors and ultimately win this series. It's not going to be easy. The odds are against you, but it happens. The Avs could make it happen. So I wouldn't count them out yit. I'd put it to you that way.
Absolutely not. And do I think you see the best of each and every guy? Absolutely, I do. That's just a feeling I have. That's why I like the 2 days. It gives you a chance for a reset. And I do believe that guys will show up. Some guys will be better than they've been. And some guys will be good again because they've been good. Logan O'Connor. There you go. I expect guys like that to be good. And I expect guys to follow suit, the guys that have not been at their best. So I'm looking forward to it. There's an element of the back against the wall that Dallas does not have. And you're going to say, yeah, but good teams, they have killer instincts. No, I get that too. But you also, you have a mulligan in your back pocket. I'm just telling you, it's how you play. It's in the back of your mind, where the Avalanche don't have a mulligan. So they can't. If their drive is like yesterday and they start sideways, and it's a tough game. You know what I mean? You can't just have a breakfast ball and start again. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right about this one. But I do believe that they come out swinging, and you just hope that it falls on the right side of the tracks. That's it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there is going to be some randomness. That's the sport of hockey. If it doesn't go your way, well, you put yourself in this situation in the first place. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully the Avs can control it. When you look at this series on the injury front, Bednar said, expected Ross Colton not to play in this series at this point. Yeah. No big surprises there. I think we all saw that coming. Robo on Dallas' side, not going to play in this series. Heiskanen sure doesn't seem like he's going to play in Game 6, but you never say never with that. Obviously, teams are a little bit coy about stuff like that when it comes to the playoffs. He's
skating and leaving. Right, where the other ones are not even skating. Right. So when you hear that this guy might be playing, then there's some gamesmanships in there, but it's also a truth to it too as well. If Ross was close to skating, for example, on the Avalanche side of things, close to playing, he'd be skating. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're not skating, it's kind of hard to say like, oh yeah, he's close. You know what I mean? Like you can say all you want that. It's not true, so, but they haven't said that. He hasn't said he's playing next game. He just said, yeah, he's coming along, but it's, from not great the first time he was asked, not great. He's not doing great. Then it's like, okay, so obviously he's dealing with something probably like muscular or something like that. And you're just a matter of, but again, I agree with you. I wouldn't expect them this week.
It's looking more and more like an injury return isn't going to have an effect on this last couple of games of the series. Maybe Heiskanen, you're talking about Game 7 or something, depending on how Game 6 goes. But in the immediate, it doesn't look great for either team to get injury guys back. Yeah. Which brings me to, I think, the topic at hand. And the Avs are in an interesting spot where I don't know that lineup changes will really do all that much to change the series. You have guys that are going to have to improve regardless. Yeah. But when you're looking at what Colorado has as far as options, obviously Malinsky and EJ is probably the easy one to talk about with the penalty that Malinsky took the other day. Yeah. With you talked about on the show last night, EJ has that experience, maybe a little bit more in these elimination type games. So first of all, is it the right decision to bring EJ in? And then we'll probably talk about the forwards in period 2.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. The Avs have options, which is nice. So look no further than Game 4, which was probably their best game in a couple months.
Great game.
I know, it could have been the best game of the year.
Straight up great game.
I mean, it was a great game. And that was the lineup that you had yesterday, which overall wasn't their greatest game. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, but if you do this and you switch this on the back end or whatever, we all know in the net it's going to be Blackwood. All good, no problem. Chat was talking about that yesterday. You know, there's no question Blackwood's playing. Now on defense, you were talking about the first question on the show, nerves and, you know, whatever. Sam's been part of the playoffs last year, this year. I think he's doing well. You got EJ for maybe moments like this. You know what I mean? Maybe well rested, hasn't played in a couple games, maybe can give you a boost tomorrow because emotional leader on the bench, emotional leader in the locker room. Yes, different player than Sam, you know, but can still bring you something. And EJ's had some good games this year since he's been back. Yeah, he's had some games that age showed, you know, but I think on a game like tomorrow, do I see the Avalanche coaching staff inserting Aaron Johnson? I'm going to lean towards yes. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it changes. Again, either way, Sam is going to do fine. I think AJ is going to do fine. I just think the way they think sometimes or whatever, I don't know. I think I could see that. And maybe because of his penalty or whatever, it doesn't help.
Sure.
But you don't just not.
They might have been doing that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They might have been doing that anyway. I don't want people to think, oh, the guy's a bad, you know, a tough play, a tough couple seconds. And yes, it's a tough, but it's not an undisciplined penalty. It's not like, you know, it was what it was. And give credit to the Stars. They scored on they executed on their power play. You know, you didn't kill it. So, but on the defensive side of things, I can see that switch being made. Obviously, I don't think Middleton's going to play. And those are the options that you have, assuming that everyone's healthy and everyone maybe even.
I don't see how Middleton gets in.
Maybe Manson is not getting suspended for his hot stick to the sarcasm.
God,
I don't want to get sarcasm here.
If anyone's getting suspended for that, it's not Josh Manson. I'll tell you that. It might be Jamie Benn for a dive, but
sarcasm here. I was just lighting the mood here. Well, no, but again, we don't know. We don't know the practice, whatever, like sickness. I don't know. You know, I think knock on wood that everyone's healthy and they're gonna have. Then maybe they have to make a decision there on the back end.
I think that's the biggest conversation about a potential lineup change. When you look at some of the other options, you're obviously going with Blackwood for Game 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, was he not particularly good in Game 5? Sure, he was also really good Game 1 through 4. So
absolutely,
it's hard to. It's a hard balance. Like I don't envy the position Jared Bednar, the Avs coaching staff and the front office is in, because everyone's going to want to change, at least outside the organization, because everyone just wants to shake things up or whatever. But the reality is the Avs are probably icing their best lineup for Game 5, even if it didn't go that well. So trying to make massive swooping changes.
Well, when Game 4, you had the best game in a long time.
Trying to switch everything up usually only leads to lack of chemistry or more problems than it's going to solve for you. It's not swapping in EJ for Malinsky. Fine, whatever. That's a minor detail on your third pairing. If you're trying to significantly change up portions of your lineup, where you're talking about moving 4 or 5 guys around your lineup, all of a sudden, who knows what you're going to get out of those? It could work. I'm not saying it can't work, but there's also a chance that it backfires on you too.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to trust, you know, the players that you have and the players that you work with all year or since they got here. Some guys got here at the trade deadline.
Yep.
And you got to hope that they actually perform and, you know, to the best of their abilities, and you put them in a position to perform and to be at their best of their abilities. So I think that goes hand in hand between coaches and players, and we shall see tomorrow. You know, I mean, what kind of team shows up? I'd like to see the Game 4, you know, Avalanche team. That'd be awesome.
The team that showed up in Game 4 wins the series. If they show up like that twice, they win the series. They have to go out and do that. It's not easy to show up to that level, but you know, there's still a lot to get to in this series and how things are going to have to change for Game 6. But let's pay a few bills before we do jump into a little bit more detail there. As we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official craft beer of DNVR. Highly recommend if you haven't had the opportunity to get them. They're available in all 50 states now, and they have dozens of flavors, something for everyone, whether you like ambers, whether you like sours, whether you like IPAs. They've got wheat beers. They've got it all. They've got a flavor for just about everybody if you like beer. Even if you don't like beer, maybe try one of their unique flavors, and you might find out you like it. Go check them out. You can go to breckbrew.com. Use their Breck Beer Locator online to find a Breck Brew near you. You can pick it up at whatever stores they're in. Or, of course, if you're local, you can always come on down to the DNVR bar and have yourself a Breck Brew. $2 off Breck Brew Avalanche beers during Avs games. So you can get a good deal on Breck Brew beer right here at the DNVR bar. They also have a bunch of cool merch and stuff on their website, too. A lot of people love their hats if you want to go check them out.
Great place.
Highly recommend you check them out. Breck Brew, again, breckbrew.com for their online beer locator and more. Go get the official craft beer of DNVR. And we're also got the Supercross with us. The Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship is racing into Empower Field at Mile High on May 3rd. See the world's best riders like Chase Sexton, Cooper Webb, Hayden Deegan, and more, and you can experience it live. It's the world's elite dirt bike riders battling for the coveted title of Supercross Champion. The competition heats up today. Not today, May 3rd. Is today May 3rd? Can it be May 3rd? The Avs may have won the series by then. Again, you can go jump in with them. Highly recommend you go check out some of the best in the business. You can also get to their Fan Fest. With your ticket to Fan Fest, you can see the riders prepare, practice, and qualify for the races. So you get the full experience. You can even meet a bunch of the riders and bikes up close to interact with them. You can check that out. The Fan Fest is pre-race from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Ages 2 and up, they do require a ticket, and there's a bunch of different activities. So again, get to that Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Witness intense competition as the world's elite riders go head-to-head. Be part of the action on May 3rd over at Empower Field at Mile High. Nothing compares to seeing it live. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Now, this is the one that I think is more interesting of a conversation.
Yep.
Because the Avs forward lineup has been a little bit in flux. Obviously, some of that is getting Landeskog back, and that's worked pretty well. On the other side, you've seen some guys struggle throughout this series. We've talked about it a lot for a guy like a Nichushkin, for a guy like a Jonathan Drouin, maybe hasn't lived up to expectations in the way you wanted. I struggle to see a world where you put Miles Wood back in the lineup, given the way it worked out the last time he was in. But is there a world where the Avs consider slotting Jimmy Vesey in for somebody?
Listen, I think there's a world where anybody of those names, even Miles Wood, Miles Wood did have some glimpse there of better play than earlier in the season towards the end. And I know he had one game where
in the regular season for sure.
Yeah. Miles hasn't played a playoff game yet, right? No.
He played the one. He was directly at fault for the loss in game 2.
Like I said, he did play. That's right. He did play that tough play in overtime. Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, the way I look at it is last game, game 4, you had a perfect, healthy combination of lines that were rolling, that were playing. I think Joe, for example, Drouin played only 9 minutes that game, but he did make a big play.
Yep.
And, actually, Bednar even talked about him. It's playoffs. You have to find a nest. You have to find where you can help the team, and everything goes out the window. For me, what I would do tomorrow is I would keep the same guys that I had game 4. That's what I would do. Because it's all about solutions right now. And you're going to say, yeah, but if you don't do anything, then you're out. And it's like you didn't do anything. Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean that behind the scenes, you're not doing anything.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of work. And I can tell you from past experiences, and I'll touch on one here, for example, like very soon here in a second. But I think there's a lot you can do as a coaching staff, as Joe Sakic, as Chris McFarland. You're all in this together. I know coaches, managers manage. But sometimes we call that like hearing a different voice or a different something. And, hey, let's have a little breakfast together. Sure. We don't know that. You're not gonna know that. Right. You're not gonna see that. You're not gonna have that on social media. That, for example, Joe Sakic met with player X this morning in Dallas before they took a plane. You'll never know that because it's probably in his room.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that it did happen. Not because I'm just telling you, because it happens all the time. And you just don't sit still and you don't just stand path. And if you're standing path, it's because you've done something, you've challenged the player a certain way to respond and say, this is how you're going to have success tomorrow in game 6 with our back against the wall. Because we believe in you.
Yep.
And then all you can do, I'm telling you as a player, and I'm taken over a little bit. But as a player, I remember like if you're asking me those 2 days, it's easy to just all of a sudden get home today, go for a bike ride, or if you have kids and go play with your kids and get away a little bit. It's such
a reset.
It is such an intense time in your life, the playoffs. But it's you're able to go away and tomorrow come back and maybe for an hour that they're going to be there. Well, whatever, a couple hours because they're going to make sure their injuries and then they're going to get Chef John to make them some good food tomorrow. And you know what I mean? Like life in the NHL is pretty good, guys. I'm telling you right now, they get like pampered very nicely, and so it's going to be one of those days tomorrow. And then you get to go home and go play with your kids or your wife. On the management side of things, I am telling you right now, because I've lived both, it is freaking stressful. I don't know what to tell you. It is hard as crap to get it away, to go home and not bring it home. And it's hard. And I remember asking my dad all the time because I was younger and then obviously he'd been through the ringer, you know what I mean? And then you're like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And it's like, buddy, the work's been done.
Yep.
The work has been done. And all you can hope now is that you've put your eggs with, some players that will respond. Some players that, for example, over the last 6, 7, 8 years, maybe have not had the most success when they fall behind in the series, but they know that and they've addressed those things. And maybe this is the year that they do it. You know what I mean? Because that's how you built it this year. That's how you went at it. All you can do now is cross your fingers and hope that they show up and hope that what you put on paper as manager comes to fruition and the players actually performed and put a little bit of pressure on themselves. And they do put pressure on themselves, those players. They do, these Avalanche players. Because they all know Brock Nelson, what do you call him? Lieutenant Brock Nelson.
Lieutenant Brock C. Nelson.
Brock C. Nelson.
He needs to be better.
Whatever. I'm just saying, he knows.
He needs to play like a major in Game 6.
Well, he needs to be better. And he's been good, but he needs to be better. Everybody needs to be better.
Yeah.
And then that's how you do it. And you just hope that you got the right mix. Now, do I think they have the right mix? And somebody yesterday was giving me crap last night. But, it's like whatever, fake and whatever. No, I do believe they have the right mix. I do. I do believe they have the right mix. And I think that the right mix will show up tomorrow.
And I think that's a really good point because I also believe that. And that's part of the reason why I was so mad about it last night.
I know.
Is because I truly believe this team is good enough, should win this series. And obviously, they have to go out and do that still.
Yeah.
And they might not. I think there's a lot of things that stand out to me about this series that are different than a lot of the other series that the Avs have come up short in over the last 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
One of which, including, they've actually looked pretty good for the majority of this series. I know there are things that look bad, but Game 1, they were clearly the better team, start to finish. Game 2, the first half of that game, they were clearly the better team. Obviously, they let Dallas back in. It doesn't go their way. Game 3, I didn't love. I didn't think they were great in Game 3. Game 4,
awesome.
They were the best team on the planet in Game 4. Nobody's beating that team. And then Game 5, they struggled. I know people look at the numbers of that game and think the Avs actually played pretty decent. I don't really agree. I think that's mostly score effects. The first period was okay, and they failed to convert on their chances, and then the rest of the game was almost entirely score effects.
Yep.
But sure, if you want to say they played well, okay, good. If you're giving them, hey, they played pretty well in Game 5, that's 4 of the 5 games you feel like they played pretty well in. Yeah. Maybe they just haven't gotten the right bounce or haven't quite hit that level of execution. But if you think that they can play that well, there's no reason to believe they can't do that for Game 6 and 7 as well. When you compare that to a series like 2021 against Vegas, where they completely just fell apart, Vegas was clearly the better team in that series, no doubt, and that's why Vegas won it in 6. When you compare that to, you go far enough back, the series against Nashville, their first year back in the playoffs. Nashville was clearly the better team. They won the series in 6. Fine.
Yep.
I don't think you can look at this series and say Dallas has clearly been the better team start to finish in this series. The Avs have played just about as well, but they're down a game. So you have to go out and even the series, and then you have to go out and win it.
And absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why it's a 4 out of 7.
Yep.
And look no further than flip the script. Game 4, Dallas Stars. If you're a Dallas Star management or coach or player, you're like, what was that? What was that? Honestly, this is our best.
Yep.
This is our chance to go up 3-1. You know what I mean? And this is what we got.
You laid an egg, yeah.
So then, but it's all forgotten once you go show up. And yesterday, drop of the puck, it's a bad goal. I don't want to hear guys, it's a bad goal. Guy scores from behind the goal line. It's a bad goal. There's no ifs and buts about it. It happens. It's just bad that it happened to the Avs last night, or McKenzie. He's been great, but that's a bad goal. You can't sugarcoat it. But Dallas, they didn't like their game 4. They did not like their game 4. They got outclassed by the Avalanche. Not even close. But on that play, they win the draw, they get it deep, they're first on puck, and they throw pucks on net. That's it. And I was like, let's just go and Wyatt Johnson looked like a man possessed. And then it set the tone. Yes, off of a bad goal. It does. And it kind of set the tone. And then all was forgotten right off the bat for their poor game 4 performance. So that's what you're hoping for the Avalanche tomorrow? That, what's the saying? Like, it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. Well, Dallas fell hard game 4. They got back up pretty solidly yesterday. Yeah. So the Avalanche yesterday, I felt they fell pretty bad. You didn't like the game, So you hope that they get back up tomorrow. And that's what you can put your eggs in one basket, whatever you want to call that they're going to get up and show up. Now you just got to hope that there's some good luck too. And you don't want a bad play. And the referees, hey, listen, at the end of the day, the referees have not cost the Avalanche.
No, they did that all by themselves.
Has the referees been bad on both? It's for another day, right? It's just been inconsistent. And that's, where it's at. And then there's plays. And then if you're Dallas, you feel that, well, the Avalanche should have gotten this and that. You know how it is. Yeah, when you're rooting for a team, you got the blinders on. We all know that, and that's life. But yeah, yesterday there's still a few plays that you're, McKinnon, hands, whatever. He gets him in the, in the neck or whatever it is. You'd like to get those penalties called and not those little, whatever. But it is what it is. But it hasn't made them lose 3-2.
Right, and I don't think the Avs should be distraught about where their series is. Obviously, you don't like that you're down 3-2. Obviously, you've made mistakes along the way. But if you look at the series as a whole, as the Avs, you're saying, hey, we're one game removed from playing the best playoff hockey we've played in a long time. Yep. Game 4 was awesome. We put it all together. Yeah, game 5 was bad, but we know we're better than that. And realistically, we're 1 goal away from this series being 3-2 our way and 2 goals away from this series being over already. So it's well within the realm of the Avs' ability to win the series. They should know that. They should be able to feel some confidence about themselves because of that. Again, you still have to go out and perform. You still have to go out and do it on the ice when it matters. But I don't think the team feels particularly doom and gloom about this series. They feel like they probably played a pretty poor game 5, but other than that, even I didn't like their game 3, and that was a 2-1 overtime game. So the Avs are fully capable of being right there.
Yeah, and I think the word that you're going to hear tomorrow at practice, right, especially by the older guys and guys that have been there, because the word I'm going to use right now, they've had it over the years. It's regrets. You know what I mean? And you just want to have no regrets. Or what's that movie? We Are the Men, No Regrets, or whatever. Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Remember, he keeps saying that dude.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, no regrets. That was a funny scene, by the way. But none of it's true. It was so funny. But you don't want to have regrets as a player. You don't want to have regrets as a team. You don't have regrets as a coach. Like, you don't want to have. You want to lay it out on the line and really put your best game forward. You want to play your game 4. That's what you want to do. And that's why it's so easy for me to do. And yes, Dallas has something to do with it. Of course they will. They're not just going to say, hey, listen, duplicate your game 4. We're going to let you have it. We're going to duplicate our game 4 too. And you have at it, right? It's not going to happen. But put your best foot forward. Yep. Give your best chances on your side for you to be successful. And go make plays. Be a difference maker. I think that's the difference a little bit in that series after 5 games. I think we've missed a couple times where guys, what we've seen over the years, make plays.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Mikko made a play. Hintz and Mikko, 2-on-1, boom, they execute. They did.
Yeah.
Like totally. It or not. Be mad at Mikko all you want, but that executing a play right there, and that's a big play, ends up being the game winner, right? So go out there, feel good about your game, and go make plays, and go work, and go want to be a difference maker. Don't play on your heels, play on your toes, and let's go.
I really do think the Avs are capable of it. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment, but we do have to pay a few bills here. So let's jump in and make sure we're doing that on it. As we are brought to you by Toyota, the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and us here at DNVR. They have a vehicle for everyone. The Avs might need to pick up a couple more truck drivers for Game 6. Get some Toyota Tundras out there, all right? Make sure you're getting where you need to go. They have 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles to make sure you can get where you're going, whether you're off-roading or just in some sketchy weather conditions. They also have 16 different hybrid or all-electric vehicles, which is the most of anyone in class. So make sure you're getting with them if you're trying to save a little bit of money on your daily commute too. Toyota has a vehicle for everyone. Make sure you're going and checking them out at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mount States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota is the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. Once you got yourself a Toyota, make sure you're driving on down to your local Raising Cane's. Get flavor fast at Raising Cane's from their hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, their crispy crinkle-cut fries, their buttery Texas toast, and especially their secret Cane's sauce that's made in restaurant every single day. It's the best out there. If you haven't had the Cane's sauce, you gotta go check it out. Are you hungry yet? You can dive into Flavor Flav's faves. What are you waiting for? It's Cane's o'clock. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love. Make sure you're getting all hooked up. Again, can't go wrong with their chicken fingers. Some of the most delicious food out there. If you haven't had it, go check it out today. I know Tiff is dying of hunger over there. I might go to Raising Cane's after the pod too because they're pretty good. I could use some chicken fingers right now. If you're stress eating about the playoffs, maybe Raising Cane's chicken fingers is the way to go. Again, go check them out at your local Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And I think it's an interesting conversation when you bring up no regrets, because I think there will be regrets if the Avs lose this series. And there are, look, if you try hard enough, you can find excuses for everything, right? But yep. I think compared to a lot of years when they've been eliminated, there are no real excuses this year for the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, the last two seasons, we don't really need to rehash the Val Nichushkin situation. Yeah. We're aware of that. Even the Vegas series the year before the Cup run, the Kadri suspension had a pretty big impact on things there. You go back to years before and you can find nonsense. In the bubble, the Avs are literally playing their third goaltender. Before that, you have the silly Landeskog offside. Was he actually offside thing? Yeah. There are a lot of excuses year on year when the Avs have been eliminated. I don't really see any excuses this year. Yeah, sure, Ross Colton got hurt, but he's not that significant of a piece. You got Gabe Landeskog back. You did a lot of work to build this team to beat the Dallas Stars in the playoffs. So go out and do it, right? I don't think you'll be able to look back and say, oh, well, there was this thing this year that made it hard for you. No, if you lose this series, you were just worse. Yeah.
And I think that to get to that point that you're talking about, and I can see in chat Enrique and Noble talking about, I mean, two things can be right? Not someone doesn't have to be wrong. But when it comes down to Val, for example, I said Lieutenant General, whatever, Brock Nelson. God, I don't remember. I'm not good with military names, but Lieutenant, whatever, Brock C. Nelson, platoon, whatever. But I like Brock, and I think Coach likes him because he does things out there that are not noticeable that coaches like. So, but yeah, if I'm listening, going to Enrique and Noble, going at it a little bit in a very polite way, I might say. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but yeah, Val has to be better. Yeah. I'm sorry, Val has to be better. Forget about what Price and next year. No regrets this year. Yep. He's made one big play there, right? And that game, he made a couple plays. There's been a few games where you haven't seen him. And I think he's got a lot to prove to himself, to his teammates as well, from, those exits from the last couple of years. And I expect a big game from Val tomorrow. I do expect a big game from Val. I'm being honest. Better than he's been. And again, I'm just picking on him in a sense, not picking on him. But we all know that. If George Ruin, he's going to have a better game. I do believe if what I said, what I thought was done, if he's in the lineup, yep. If it's not Woody, VC, whatever it was, if it's Joe, a little conversation happened. And, sometimes I said I would talk about something. I can tell you something. And if Alex was here to tell you, like older people in the chat, 2001 Stanley Cup, Alex Tanguay had one of those moments, struggled a little bit. And then he did up. Yeah. No, again, he did have a little visit with the old man. Yeah. And it was father and son conversation, not a management or coach. And it's like, hey, give me a hug here. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And what is and I'm not taking credit from my dad. Alex was outstanding that game. But what does he do? He scores 2 goals in game 7.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to explain
I
to you
get
guys.
you. I
There's
get
a
you.
lot of stuff that's done behind the scenes that we don't see that, you know, and that you shouldn't see, quite frankly. Sometimes it's like marriages and everything. It's none of our businesses, you know? So I do believe that some of those things are going to happen here, you know, or have had happen the last couple of days since yesterday. And there's a lot of opportunities to do those things. And that's what makes you a good coach, good manager. And I do believe that maybe tomorrow, you know, a guy like that, all of a sudden Joe Druin, if he's, you know, pops off and then you're like, oh, wow. What was that? You know what I mean? Because he is good and because he can make plays and he can be a difference maker. You know, Sometimes you're just lost in your own mind and you just need to get out and go out there and smile and have fun and make plays. So we'll see what happens.
Don't have to overcomplicate every little detail, huh?
Yeah,
Sometimes it goes like that.
Yeah.
I need the Avs to win game 6 because we got to put it to the test. This core of the Avs has never won a game 7. You know who else has never won a game 7? Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, I was going to say Pete DeBoer. Oh, Pete DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer only wins game 7s for the record. He's 8-0 in game 7s in his career. So he's actually due to lose one, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes. Yeah. It's just like when a guy scores 4 goals in a row and you go bet him for the, he's going to score again. And then you bet him, he doesn't. You know, because every streak's meant to be broken, right? So
they can't all last forever.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you that way.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Even that one can't last forever, but
wow,
they do their best to make it last a long time.
That city can go bonkers. I mean, you saw it last year, 1 round. It's like bananas. I mean, I was 93. I got I'm old. Man, oh man, couple rounds. It was
went
crazy.
Deep.
Crazy. It was so fun. So yeah, it's fun to see people break their streak. And hopefully it's the Avs core that, you know, you've talked about where they don't always come back from down 3-2 series, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's right there. Here you go. Don't think they don't know that. They know that.
I mean, obviously there are more factors than just anything, but they've been pretty decent in game 6s again in this era.
Yeah.
Especially if you exclude some of the ones like the Nashville series at the start of their playoff run when they were still probably too young of a team to really be considered a legitimate contender.
Yeah.
That would make them 5-2 in game 6s with this core as like a legitimate contender. That includes multiple game 6 wins. Not just one game 6 win against Pete DeBoer.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, when you hear that all the time, like it stems from the Wayne Gretzky comment back then, right? You got to learn how to lose before you can win. And you know, those teams, and we all know the Avalanche, for example, the Vegas series, and you know, right back then, and then the next year they, you know, I get that. The Avalanche knows how to win. They know as a team how to win. They know how to lose too. They know what works and what doesn't work.
For sure.
And they all know. And I think for me tomorrow, the biggest thing is you want to make sure you have no regrets. You want to make sure you're full throttle, but you got to be under control, right? And you got to be under control because you want to make sure that a bad penalty, you know, that whatever, that you could have controlled that, like, you know, causes the game. So you want to make sure you're on the gas pedal, but you want to make sure you're controlling your emotions.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, whether it's Nate McKinnon or anyone, like whoever plays the least on Kiviranta, the cat. You know what I mean? Like, control the emotions, right? You know, and get out there, no regrets, but control it. Let's get out there as a team. Let's play as a team, and good things will happen. They will. It will happen. Look, good things will happen.
I would put it to you this way. If you take Dallas's current lineup and Colorado's current lineup, and they both play to their best of their ability, who wins? Who do you think wins?
Oh, for me, it's the Avalanche.
Same.
So that's not biased. That's just.
No, I think that's, go look at game 4. That's the truth.
But I know it's 3-2, and that's why I'm saying it's not over. You know, it's 3-2. It's not 4-2.
Again, the onus is on the Avs to play up to their ability.
It's not 4-2. It's 3-2. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Same. I absolutely believe they can do it. I don't think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even likely, but they absolutely can do it.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to find a way to. I do want to flip it and talk about Dallas's side a little bit.
Yep. No regrets. You know.
Is Dallas
Metal knows.
in a spot where they're playing free right now, or do you think there is a little bit of extra pressure on a team like Dallas because they're saying, hey, if we get through this, we can get Heiskanen back, or maybe Robo's on the horizon? Is there some extra pressure on them because of that, or are they saying, hey, without those guys, we get to play free for this round, and whatever happens, happens?
But even that core, though, they've had their fair share of success, right? They've won a lot of series, right? Whether you want the bubble, like I don't care if it's real, not real. It's still like they've got some success, and they all know that it's a cliche, but winning that fourth was the toughest one to win because no one's going to roll over and just let you have it.
Yeah.
I talked about this earlier. I think it's human side of things. You know, you have a mulligan. I'm not telling you you're. Sometimes you play better because you know you have a mulligan. I'm telling you.
Has not been the case in this series.
But I mean, sometimes as individuals you play better. I don't know why. And then sometimes you play worse because you're like, who cares? We have another one, right? You know what I mean? And I think that's human. It's not on purpose. It's just the human side of the brain takes over and whatever it is that it does. And, you know, you just not doing it on purpose, but you're not playing to your ability, to your best, because you know that there's another do-over, you know? Do I think Dallas is going to come out that way? No. But I just don't know how they can react to those things because they've showed to me game 4 that they can have a dud. You know what I mean? They didn't have a dud game 1. It was game 4, right? So it's like, that's a dud. Avs had a lot to do with it. Like I said, Dallas is going to have a lot to do with it tomorrow to see how the Avs respond. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be like, you know, freebies. You know what I mean? And
of course
and both teams are, you would expect the A game from both teams tomorrow. And that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, that's what you want. That's what the playoffs are supposed to be about, right? So you if you get that, great. The Avs play within themselves. I think it'll come out positive. Maybe it doesn't, and then that's that. I really don't know.
Hold on, I want to add something that.
Go ahead.
Was it Chuck that's saying that about the PP? I totally agree with that comment. You know what I mean? It just seems to go in that mental space when they go, absolutely. Don't ask me why. And that's been bothering me for a bit. That they don't have the foot on the gas pedal when it comes down to. And for me, that's the biggest reason why the series is 3-2. Because the 2 times in overtime that they had the power play there, I felt that it's exactly what we're reading there. They were just kind of, okay, maybe we'll make a play here and there. And it wasn't there. And the mental side takes over that it's like, oh, okay, it's a power play. We're so good. We can make a play. No, it's like, go the other way. I'm going to work harder than the other guy and I'm going to put my foot on their throat and really finish them off. And they didn't. And there's a reason why it's 3-2. Why does he keep saying Thursday? I'm not sure. Like, I know the game's Thursday. Why?
I don't know. Anyway, when you look at it, I do think this is interesting, right? Because I see a lot of people, they're upset with this era of the Avalanche because they've only won 1 cup and they haven't gotten out of the second round since. Mm-hmm. And I guess my question to those people, would you rather be the Avs with 1 cup and a bunch of second round exits, or would you rather be Dallas who has no cups but have made conference finals and cup finals that they ultimately lost?
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair question. For me, it's to win the ultimate prize.
I would take the cup as well.
I mean, that's like, and if it was that easy, everybody would win it every year and we wouldn't have 82 games, right? Everybody would be like, no, we won. Well, we won 82 cups that year. Everybody's got their cup parties in the summer. Not 82, but 32 teams. You wouldn't play 82 games.
My point being, let's not pretend like the Avs don't know how to win. They've literally won the cup with this core. So, yes, they absolutely have struggles in game 7s as a team. Yes, at times they maybe don't play up to their potential, but they can. We've watched them do it. We know they're capable of it.
Yep.
They have to go out and do it. And is it disappointing if they don't? Absolutely. But this idea that the Avs just aren't a team that knows how to win is just objectively wrong. I don't know.
I agree with you.
I really don't know how else to tell you that.
I mean, like I said to you, like I just I love the way they're built. I love the way they're built. I love the way they added at the deadline for that build, from the back end to to the goaltending to the center position. They're well built to sustain a game like Thursday. Practice tomorrow, Wednesday. When I say tomorrow, I was get mentally prepared for Thursday. It all blends in, by the way. Like, could be Saturday today. I wouldn't know. But so I'm looking forward to that aspect of it, where they challenge themselves to show up and be the best versions that they can be. So that's just what I'm looking forward to.
Do or do not.
Which I believe they will do. You know what I mean? And
I hope so.
No regerts.
I've asked you this question about 6 times this series, but I'm going to ask you again because it is another 2-day break. Is there anything you adjust? Like, when you look at the film, when you go look at a game 4 and 5, do the Colorado Avalanche key in on anything specific that they can do against Dallas, or is this more of Colorado looking internally and doing their systems the way they want to?
I think overall, like, honestly, Bednar talked about it after game 4, like, felt pretty good the way they've played defensively in those 4 games, right? They haven't really given up a lot. I mean, you're going to give up some. Dallas is a good team. You're not going to give up 0 scoring chances a night, right? It's just not going to happen. So I think as a team, they felt pretty good. 2 things for me. The power play has not been opportunistic. You're going to say, yeah, Max got 3 goals on it. Yeah, no. But there's a few times, again, 2 overtimes, like you didn't connect, you didn't score at the right time. For me, Dallas has been better that way. Look no further than the Jamie Benn tying goal here. Game 3. Bad penalty, back-to-back, Lehkonen, and then it was Mac, and then they execute. Yesterday, that's a huge goal. You know what I mean? To make it 3-0, right? The puck goes through Kell, and is it Wyatt Johnson? Yeah, Wyatt Johnson scores on that one. So I do believe time-wise, like, timely power play goal, like, it's the Avalanche's. Dallas has had the advantage. So you talk about changes. I want the power play to be a little more alive. I want the power play to be a little more alive, and I want the Avalanche to be a little greasier and dirtier when it comes down to offensive zone chances. I firmly believe that you create your bad luck like yesterday. I think yesterday Dallas created their good luck by throwing pucks on that, letting it bounce, and you know what I mean? I do believe in that. I think the Avalanche, I mean, I'm just saying, well, if you're holding on to the puck, you're trying to make a play, and in the middle of the time and nothing comes of it, then look, what? The goalie can't make a mistake, because
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
So I'm just saying,
I don't know that I believe that there's a lot of luck involved there.
No, you know what I'm saying. Those things can't happen if you don't put pucks on.
You are correct.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. I'd like for the Avalanche to have a little bit more.
Give the other team opportunities to make mistakes.
That's it. Take the opportunity for the goalie to drop one.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or shot like game 4. All of a sudden you got through him. Ottinger was awesome, but you still got through him until they're like, okay, uncle, we're going to give him a break here.
It's,
so.
The Avs do not have a shortage of creating high danger chances in this series. That's not their problem.
Yeah.
Their problem is they need to be creating as many chances as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Because if you have a goalie that's playing well and you're creating a good number of high danger chances, but he's stopping them, the solution is to create more chances. He's not going to stop them all. And if he does, he was better than you. Tip your cap.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to say something here that you're going to say, man, really? Really? Captain Obvious. It starts with Kale on the back end.
I do not disagree at all here.
Captain Obvious. And I hate to do this because he's one of the best players on the planet, but on a game like 6, you want to survive like this series and go on to play game 7 and have a chance to move on. Like, you need your best players to play better as a group. You know what I mean?
Definitively, this is the worst series of Cale Makar's career so far. Yeah. Like, even his first one ever that he showed up in middle of was better than this.
Yeah.
This has been the worst. And I think in games 4 and 5, you saw a better version of him. His feet looked better. Yeah. He was doing good things, but ultimately he still had nothing to show for it in those games.
Yeah.
You need a better version of that guy. Full stop.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think you're going to see a better version of that tomorrow. For whatever reasons, we are where we are And they are where they are, meaning, but it's still not over. And that's not like being positive. That's just, it's just the way it is. Like it's a 4 out of 7 for a reason.
Yep.
I've seen it too many times where people think that they have it in the bag and they're up 3-2 and you don't. So at the end of the day, we'll see. We'll see what team shows up on both sides tomorrow, and may the best team win. You know what I mean? And go from there.
Yeah. That's all it boils down to at the end of the day. I have no problems with however this series ending. Whoever wins it was the better team.
Yep.
I'm good with that conversation. Hopefully it's the Avs, but maybe it isn't. Interesting otherwise, and we'll save some of this conversation for tomorrow probably, but all 4 series in the West went 2-2.
Yep.
So you're going to have...
Somebody's going to go 3-2.
Yeah, right. All of them are going to end up 3-2. There's going to be 4 teams trying to overcome the 3-2 deficit.
Yep.
And I said, it was what? 21% of the time, the team that goes down in game 5 comes back and wins. So that's 1 out of 5. So, odds are pretty decent. One of these 4 series ends up with the team falling behind, coming back and winning.
For sure.
Why not the Avs series?
Why not the Avalanche? And somebody will, like you said, somebody will. I mean, again, you could say maybe not. It's all going to end up 4-2, maybe. But in my book, I don't think it will be. You know what I mean? So when it's 2-2, game 5 is a pivotal game. It didn't go the Avs' way, right? We all know that. Dallas was the better team. I can't even say that it didn't go their way. Dallas was the better team.
For 60 minutes of that hockey game, Dallas was the better team.
They were the hungrier team, and they responded after being spanked, punched in the face in game 4. So now it's up to the Avalanche that got punched in the face yesterday to respond and to show what they're made of. And some people in chat don't believe that they are made of the right things to respond, and that's fair. I think that they have what it takes to respond, and that's what I'm going to hedge my bet on, that they do respond tomorrow. And, we'll worry about game 7 after. You got to worry about game 6 first. And go from there.
You cannot start thinking about game 7 until you win game 6. That's it. For sure. That's how you lose game 6. Yep. I can tell you that much
And then things need to go your way. You're right. Absolutely. Things need to go your way as well.
Of course.
If it doesn't go your way, I mean, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So it's nothing you can do.
You should have won the earlier
then
games. Things don't go your way.
You should have made a play on the power play in game 2 or game 3, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
In overtime. So that's kind of what you look at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Playoffs are supposed to be hard for a reason. I'll tell you that much. These are, and I think a lot of us believe the winner of this series is at least going to the Western Conference Finals, if not winning the West. So it's not supposed to be easy. It isn't easy, and maybe that the Avs can't overcome that, and they're out in the first round. Maybe so. Odds would say that's likely to happen, but maybe they do overcome it. Maybe they find a path to go deep. And then instead of sitting here dooming and glooming, we're all pumped that the Avs are on a deep playoff run.
And hopefully they look in the next round. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but hopefully you look in the and you learn something from the first round. And it's always like that. It's you don't even look over the years. You look like, no closer than those series before, and learn from what you did and what you didn't do. So, hopefully they use that, and hopefully they show up, and then hopefully they can look back and use those as examples and not regrets.
Everyone loves to have a crystal ball, right? We have a segment on our pregame show called The Crystal Ball, and it's fun to do. I enjoy doing it. It's cool when we end up being right about stuff.
Yeah. Not last game.
You're
completely off.
The reality is, as much as anyone wants to predict or has inside lines and thinks this, that, or the other thing, the only people who decide the game are the 20 dudes who go out and take the ice every single night. So
absolutely.
Unless, maybe Eric's backwards hat helps or something.
It didn't work yesterday. Just goes to show you it doesn't work. We'll come up with something else tomorrow. Oh, God. Not tomorrow. So I'm sorry. Thursday. We'll come up with something else.
Look, in this business, it's either game day or it's not game day. Every not game day is just one long day.
I put the wrong shoes.
Game day.
I put the wrong shoes yesterday. That's why.
Yeah. Did you take your shoes off yesterday?
No, I forgot to take them off. That's why.
Yeah, it's definitely all your
I emailed the Avalanche. I apologize that it's on me yesterday. That I'll take the blame for their loss. My shoes were not off. I kept them on. That's why.
Be better.
If you don't think
you gotta
that,
be
you
better.
got to be better. You got to be better. It starts with me, you, Tiff, everyone in chat, all the way to the players. They got to be better. And that's simple. When you're like this, you know what? It's 2 simple words. Be better.
Yeah.
We were stupid here, but I'm saying be better should be the mantra tomorrow.
Again, the reason there's so much
tomorrow.
anger and upset in the Avs fan base about this is because we all believe the Avs are better than what they showed in Game 5. If we all sat here and thought, well, you know, this is who the Avs are. They're not that good.
Yeah.
Dallas is the better team. You would kind of just accept that reality. But I think the majority of the Avs fan base believes that they are at least as good, if not a better team than Dallas. They just haven't shown that enough yet in this series. So go show it in the last 2 games.
And it's so funny because look, like 8-9 years ago, you know, you would just to have a playoff series.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Their first series when they got in game 82.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The
right.
expectation. Montreal Canadiens right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no
it's
pressure.
great. No pressure.
Pressure
It's
for
awesome.
that team.
Yay. St. Louis Blues, you know, a little bit. It hasn't been very awesome since their cup. Or was it 19, their cup? Yeah. Hasn't been really awesome. But all of a sudden now they're rallying behind it, and then they're playing good. Now they beat the Winnipeg Jets. You know, that's been the President's Trophy winner this year and twice. And people are going to say, "Oh, Hellebuck." No, I know, but there's no expectations for St. Louis. They fired their coach at Christmas. There's no expectation. So this is different. That's why chat's fun, because the expectations are high and people want success. And we say it all the time. We said it all summer long. We said it all year long. It's Stanley Cup or bust. So when you're down 3-2 in the first round, of course it's gloomy a little bit. It has to be, right? You know what I mean? Like for us, for them, for anyone, for the player, you know. So, but it's how you react to it. And, you know, that we'll see. I do believe they react the right way. That is not fake. That is just my thoughts on Thursday, but it's not fake. I do believe they react. And you see the best of Cale Makar. You see the best of 29. You see a better game from 13, 11, 27. You see Gabe again smiling, and you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, he's been back a couple games. Like, you know what I mean? It's just starting, right? You know, after 3 years. He doesn't want it to end. You think he wants it to end? And I'm not telling you he's not playing next year. I'm saying, but get everything ready to just come back and play a few games. I'm talking about a mulligan. Like, come on, boys. Let's get a mulligan for him, right? Let's play our A game tomorrow. If you need that in you, then use that. Use Gabe to your advantage. You know what I mean? Personally, to get you ready for the game. So yeah, I'm excited.
They wouldn't be the first team to come back and win round 1 and 7 to go on and have great success in the playoffs.
Of course not.
I'll put it to you that way. They also wouldn't be the first team to lose the series in 6 in a disappointing fashion.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, all cards are on the table, even if some of them are more likely than others. I'm putting my faith in the team to do what they need to do. Hopefully they don't disappoint me. That's all I got. That's all I got for that one. Make sure you're tuning in for Game 6 on Thursday. We will have another show tomorrow. We'll probably try to distract ourselves a little bit and talk about the rest of the series around the league.
Yeah, I mean, they got 11 o'clock practice tomorrow at Ball Arena. And, you know, again, this is what I expect them to do, to have obviously some meetings tomorrow, to have a full participant practice. You know what I mean? Like, and then just be an optional Thursday morning and show up at the game and, you know, a couple meetings in the morning. But some guy like McKinnon doesn't like to skate if he skated the day before, or I'm talking about game day.
Yeah, whatever. Do what you got to do to
do what you got to do to be ready, and then you go from there.
Yep. That's 100% what it is. So we'll see.
Yep.
All we can do is wait and watch the game, and the results will be what they will be. You know, we'll be here breaking it down, mad, sad, happy, otherwise. We'll be here. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us for the day, especially everyone out in the YouTube chat. Always nice to have a chat with you guys, especially when we're, I don't know, coping, recovering, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully it's a happy one on the next one. Again, we'll be live tomorrow, 2 p.m. Mountain as usual. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. Game 6 is a big one.
We all silly like the mayor.